single decision made in secret would change the fate of millions. It would reshape the map of the Middle East, ignite a revolution, and turn the world's political landscape on its head. That decision was the rise of one man, the Ayatollah. In the late 1970s, Iran was at the crossroads of its own history. The monarchy of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, which had been supported by Western powers for decades, was on the brink of collapse. Beneath the glittering surface of Tehran's luxurious palaces, a storm was brewing. It wasn't just political unrest. It was ideological, religious, and deeply personal. The people of Iran were restless, tired of corruption, inequality, and the unchecked power of the Shah. At the heart of this revolution was a figure that would become synonymous with change, revolution, and fear, Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. But how did this man, once exiled and dismissed as a religious figurehead, become the symbol of a sweeping movement that changed Iran forever? And what was it about him that turned an entire nation against its rulers? If you enjoy discovering the hidden stories that shaped our world, subscribe to Echoes of History and join us as we uncover the past. Ruhollah Khomeini was born in 1902 in the city of Khomeini, in central Iran. He was a quiet child, raised in a deeply religious household. His education was rooted in Islamic studies, and early on, he displayed a deep understanding of the Quran and Shia theology. By the time he was a young man, Khomeini had become a respected figure within the Shia clerical community. The Iran of his youth, however, was not the Iran of today. It was a country deeply divided. On one hand, you had the ruling elite led by the Pahlavi family, who had come to power after the 1921 coup orchestrated by Reza Shah Pahlavi. This monarchy, while modernizing and secularizing Iran, was also imposing Western values, disregarding Islamic traditions, and alienating large portions of the population. On the other hand, there was the general populace, largely conservative, deeply religious, and resentful of the monarchy's Western ties. In the early years, Khomeini was more a figure of respect than of political power. His role was to guide the faithful, to lead the prayers, and to teach the sacred principles of Shia Islam. However, Khomeini's views were never without edge. He was fiercely critical of the Shah's regime, seeing it as corrupt, materialistic, and tyrannical. His critiques, which he began voicing more openly in the 1960s, were not just directed at the Shah. They were aimed at the very foundation of Iranian society as the Shah had shaped it. He viewed the monarchy's westernization efforts as an existential threat to Iranian identity and values. The world was beginning to change. The Middle East was starting to see a rise in political Islam, fueled by a deep dissatisfaction with secular rulers who had sold out to foreign powers. Khomeini's voice began to echo louder. In 1963, Khomeini's outspoken criticism of the Shah's regime led to his arrest. This was not a man who could easily be silenced. Khomeini's influence grew even more when he was exiled, first to Turkey, then to Iraq, and later to France. While in exile, Khomeini's speeches, distributed secretly through tapes and pamphlets, found a growing audience back in Iran. These messages were filled with anger and fervor, calling on Iranians to reclaim their country from the Shah and foreign influence. He spoke of justice, of revolution, of a return to the purest form of Islam. But Khomeini was not simply a voice of protest. He represented an idea, the idea of an Islamic revolution that could replace the old, corrupt order with a government that was rooted in Islamic principles. His vision was radical. He called for the establishment of a Vilayat-e-Faqih, a system of government where the country would be ruled by a group of Islamic clerics, with the highest authority resting in the hands of the supreme leader. And Iran's youth, especially the disenfranchised, rallied behind him. They saw the revolution not just as a rejection of the Shah, but as a chance to redefine Iran's future on their own terms. Khomeini's growing popularity was not limited to Iran. Across the world, revolutionary movements were flourishing, and Khomeini's rhetoric resonated with those who sought to challenge imperialism and authoritarianism. The world saw him as a symbol of defiance, and the Shah saw him as a threat. By 1978, unrest in Iran had reached a boiling point. The Shah, despite his attempts at reform, could not stem the tide of discontent. The economy was faltering, inflation was soaring, and the gap between the rich and the poor was widening. The monarchy's close ties to the West, particularly the United States, only fueled the anger of the revolutionaries. Khomeini, from his exile in France, became the central figure of the revolution. He issued a call to action, urging Iranians to take to the streets. The demonstrations began, and soon, the country was engulfed in protests, strikes, and civil disobedience. The Shah's response was brutal. He declared martial law, sent in the military, and used force to try and quash the protests. But every violent act from the regime only made Khomeini's message stronger. The people began to see the Shah not as a ruler, but as a puppet of foreign powers, a man who was willing to kill his own people to stay in power. In January 1979, the Shah was forced into exile. It was the beginning of the end for the Pahlavi dynasty, but it was just the beginning for Khomeini. Upon his return to Iran, he was welcomed by millions as the leader of the revolution. The Ayatollah had returned. The world was stunned. A revolution had occurred in the heart of the Middle East, and it had been led by a man who had spent years in exile. Khomeini's victory was not just political, it was ideological. He had not only toppled a monarchy but had also replaced it with an Islamic republic, a new form of government that was based on religious authority. But the consequences of Khomeini's revolution were far-reaching. The United States, which had supported the Shah for decades, saw the fall of Iran as a blow to its influence in the region. A few months later, the U.S. embassy in Tehran was stormed, and 52 American diplomats were taken hostage. This marked the beginning of the U.S.-Iran hostage crisis, which lasted for 444 days. The Iranian people, while initially hopeful, began to see the darker side of Khomeini's rule. The revolution, it turned out, had come at a price. Iran became a theocracy with Khomeini at its helm as the supreme leader. The regime cracked down on political opponents, and thousands were executed. The country was plunged into a brutal war with Iraq, a conflict that would last for 8 years and claim hundreds of thousands of lives. Khomeini's vision of an Islamic republic was realized, but at a tremendous cost. The country was in turmoil, and the Iranian people were forced to confront the realities of their new reality under the Ayatollah's rule. Khomeini's revolution reshaped the Middle East and had lasting effects on global politics. It marked the rise of political Islam and the end of Western-backed monarchies in the region. It demonstrated that a people, when united by a common cause and guided by a powerful ideology, could overthrow even the most entrenched of regimes. But Khomeini's revolution also set the stage for decades of conflict in the region. It created an enduring divide between Iran and the West, and it fueled sectarian tensions within the Middle East. Iran's role in the region became more assertive, and the consequences of Khomeini's actions are still felt today, from the ongoing tensions with the United States to the rise of extremist groups across the region. Khomeini's story is not just the story of one man. It is the story of a nation's struggle for its soul, a struggle between tradition and modernity, between the oppressed and the powerful, between the forces of revolution and the forces of stability. His rise to power was the result of decades of discontent, and the consequences of his revolution continue to shape the world we live in today. But the question remains, was Khomeini's vision truly a path to salvation for the Iranian people? Or was it a path that ultimately led to more suffering? History, as always, has no easy answers. But it is through understanding the past that we can begin to understand the present, and perhaps shape a better future. If this story has made you rethink what you know about the history of the Middle East, join us for more revelations and untold truths. Like, comment, and subscribe to Echoes of History, and share your thoughts on how this powerful revolution still shapes Iran today.